Welcome to the Front 7 podcast right here on YouTube, and we are just hours away from Super Bowl 50 here tonight. And yes, I was going to do the show for Friday and Saturday, but I wanted to wait and do this show just hours from the Super Bowl so I could have all the information I needed, from the injury reports to what's going to happen around the league. So here we are, the Denver Broncos against the Carolina Panthers. One team is going to lay claim to history in that they were the team to win the 50th Super Bowl. Is this going to be Peyton Manning's last game? It seems like it is going to be it for Peyton Manning. But then what will happen to the Broncos after the Super Bowl tonight? Because Brock Osweiler, a free agent, Peyton Manning, he's possibly telling them or telling his friends that, hey, this is going to be my last game. Or does he come back and does he play for another team? I mean, who knows? Nobody knows anything. What we do know is tonight is the Super Bowl, and I will give you my predictions at the end of the show. But I do want to cover around the league first here, and I think the best place to start is, well, with what everybody is talking about, and that's the downfall of Johnny Manziel. If you've been living under a rock these past couple days, or the past week, or, well, basically since he's been drafted by the Browns, you would know that he has a problem with partying and doing stuff that he's not supposed to be doing. He had a little altercation with his girlfriend, now his ex-girlfriend. I don't know which one. Something to do with, like, her trying to leave the car, and he pulled her back in and said he was going to kill them both if she tried to leave. It's a scary situation at that. I mean, it's clear Johnny Manziel needs help, and it's a shame Johnny Manziel is refusing to listen to anybody. Jimmy Haslam has come out and said that the Browns have tried to help, but Manziel has not answered their calls. His own father tried to get him into rehab, but they ended up letting him go. The place that he went to let him go and let him leave. And now we're at this point where Manziel is threatening to, kill himself and kill his ex. And it's really a scary situation because Manziel would be was threatening to take an innocent life with him in a suicide attempt. I mean, that's what you have to imply when he told her that he was going to kill them both. Now, a judge has signed off on a protective order to keep Manziel away from his ex-girlfriend. He has to stay away from her for the next 2 years. He has also been ordered to pay $12,000 in legal fees. And it's already been announced by the Browns that when the new league year opens on March 9th, they do plan on cutting him, and whether or not that's the end of his career, which probably it is, because no other team is going to want to take on the headache that Johnny Manziel is causing right now. I mean, the Cowboys have no interest in him, and I know everybody thought that, hey, Manziel is going to go to Dallas if he gets released, but even the Cowboys have come out and said they have no interest in Johnny Manziel, and I think they learned their lesson from last year when they signed Greg Hardy, amidst all the controversy with his domestic violence issue and bringing him in. So I think the Cowboys are smart this time around to avoid this. I mean, for what it's worth, the Dallas police have launched a criminal investigation into this case, and, whatever comes of that is, whatever comes of it. But Johnny Manziel needs help. His father has come out and said basically his son is not going to live to see his 24th birthday if somebody doesn't help him. And right now, Manziel is refusing help. The Browns are trying to help him. He's not answering their calls. Seems to me it's a real scary situation. I mean, tonight is the Super Bowl, and we're all supposed to be excited and happy, but at the same time, you have to kind of go in the back of your mind with everything going on with Manziel. It's just hope that it doesn't come to the worst. I hope Manziel does finally answer the Browns' telephone calls. I really hope somebody can help him, because here we are, like I said, it's Super Bowl 50. It's supposed to be a big celebration that's going to culminate of 50 years in the making, with one team laying claim to winning Super Bowl 50. And now there's this thing in the back of my mind, and I'm sure with everything going on, I'm sure a lot of people, even in his family as well, that are kind of thinking, are we going to be reporting news that we don't want to report if Manziel keeps refusing help? And that's all I'm going to say about that. So I hope Johnny Manziel out there is going to get the help he needs. If not, like I said, hopefully I'm not talking about something. I'm not, and you guys know what that something is on a later edition of the Front 7 podcast. Of course, last night was the NFL honors, handing out the awards. Cam Newton, easily MVP, no doubt. Ron Rivera, Coach of the Year. But also the Hall of Fame 2016 class was announced. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are debating the whole Terrell Owens versus Marvin Harrison debate, with how Marvin Harrison got in, but T.O. didn't get in. Here's the full class. If you don't know by now, the full class, Brett Favre is obviously the highlight of this group. After all those years of unretiring, Brett Favre is going to take his place in the NFL Hall of Fame. Former 49ers owner Eddie DeBartolo Jr., Raiders quarterback Ken Stabler, outside linebacker Kevin Green, head coach Tony Dungy, Rams offensive tackle Orlando Pace, and former Washington and Detroit guard Dick Stanfill completes the class of 2016. And when you look at that class, I don't have a problem with it. I know there's going to be fans that will debate the whole T.O. Marvin Harrison thing. T.O. should have gotten in over Marvin Harrison, but, I'm not going to get into all that here. I mean, that's no point. I mean, eventually T.O. is going to get into the Hall of Fame. It just wasn't this year. Those that fell short making it this year, like I said, T.O., and maybe this is a sign for the Broncos, I don't know, but Terrell Davis, John Lynch of the Broncos did not make it in. Kevin Green played for the Panthers at one point, so maybe that's a sign for tonight. Basically, the Hall of Fame is a crapshoot each year. Does so-and-so get in? Who doesn't get in? Eventually, the players over time will get in. Timing works out for a reason. T.O. will get in one day, so let's just not get ourselves in a bunch and sit there and try to figure out why he didn't get in when we have a Super Bowl to play tonight. And we are still waiting on the word from Calvin Johnson and whether or not he is going to retire. The Detroit Lions are going to give him time to think about it. He does have a high salary due in $16 million, and his full cap number is $24 million on the year. And, as I said before, Calvin Johnson retiring would be a shame, because he is a great player to watch, and it would be a shame to see his career end at age 30, though it is understandable why. Maybe instead of retirement, maybe he does what Anthony Davis did of the San Francisco 49ers and take a year off and reconsider retirement after a year off, see if his body's in shape, he's healthy. Otherwise, the Lions are going to be in a position of they might have to end up releasing him if he decides to play, and he's going to be playing elsewhere, because it would be very hard to keep Calvin Johnson at the $24 million cap hit that he has without a restructure and re-signing a new contract, whatever the case would be. But the Lions have said they are going to give him time to reconsider, and hopefully for them, that means that he would be reconsidering retirement and he won't retire in the next couple weeks. Now, with Brett Favre going into the Hall of Fame, there is talk of the Packers being in the Hall of Fame game in August, in which, with Tony Dungy and Marvin Harrison, I think the Hall of Fame game will probably end up being the Packers against the Colts. I mean, that seems like it's going to be the destiny for the Hall of Fame game in August. When you look at the Hall of Fame class, as I said, it's pretty much a lock that it's going to be the Packers and the Colts going against each other unless they do the Rams maybe. I don't know, but I think it's going to probably be the Packers and the Colts in the Hall of Fame game. Another player that is contemplating retirement, besides Peyton Manning and Calvin Johnson, is Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch. There are reports out there that say he has told friends that he is indeed retiring. Again, there was that very same report for Peyton Manning that came out and said Peyton Manning has told friends that he's going to retire. During a team meeting last night, it was said that Peyton Manning got very emotional along with DeMarcus Ware, so maybe that would entitle maybe DeMarcus Ware might retire as well. He didn't state to the team if he would retire after the Super Bowl. I imagine if the Broncos win tonight, Manning would retire and go out on top. Now, a while back, I did talk about the possibility of Peyton Manning playing next year and what teams he will be playing for. Click on the link and listen to that after you get done listening to this, and go back and see who I think Peyton Manning could play for next year if he does not retire. But it does seem like this might be it for Peyton Manning, But again, as I said, yes, it's an easy decision if the Broncos win. But if the Broncos lose, would Manning come back? And then again, you have this problem with the Broncos where Brock Osweiler is a free agent. Peyton Manning has 1 year left on his contract. So would the Broncos pass on Brock Osweiler, let him go take a big contract somewhere else, get a compensatory pick in 2017 draft, let Peyton Manning play out in 2016, draft a quarterback in this year's draft that could sit behind Manning for a year and take over in 2017. Because it does seem, with this being a quarterback-driven league, Manning, Osweiler, the Broncos, we don't know what's going to happen to them. Would this be the downfall of the Broncos following Manning possibly retiring? And if Brock Osweiler leaves, that will leave them with no quarterback. Like I said, free agency, it's only a month away, folks. So we'll know soon enough. But back to Beast Mode here. Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch, he has told friends he's going to retire. Seattle, they'll be fine. Unlike the Broncos, if Manning retires and they lose Brock Osweiler, Seattle, they have Thomas Rawls, they have Fred Jackson. They'll be fine at running back. Plus, I think Seattle, with the trade last year for Jimmy Graham, they want to be more of a passing team. So I think they'll be fine if Lynch retires. The thing with that, though, is that if he does retire, Lynch will owe the team $2.5 million. Though, if he waits, then it's probably probable that Lynch probably ends up having to be cut if he does, because his salary is way too much at $9 million. So, either way, Marshawn Lynch is done in Seattle, and looks like he is done from the NFL in general. It does seem that, right now, everything's good, healthy for both teams entering tonight. Ron Rivera has said that Thomas Davis with a broken arm, Jared Allen, he will play tonight. And there's really been no word on the Broncos sideline. So it does seem that both teams are going to be healthy entering tonight, which should make this a better game for everybody. Alright, now, to get to the part that everybody wants to get to, it is the Super Bowl prediction time, folks. And I will sit here and tell you that if Peyton Manning is expecting to have some kind of retirement party with the Lombardi Trophy, it's not going to happen. When you look at what the Panthers have done throughout the playoffs and throughout the year, I don't see how Peyton Manning's arm can keep up with the Broncos offense. The Panthers offense. There's no way. His arm is shot. Cam Newton out there. They're flinging it. And you have to remember, the Panthers don't have Kelvin Benjamin. They lost him to a torn ACL in the offseason. And they almost went on that historic undefeated run. And tonight they're looking to finish 18-1, and I think they will do that. And I think this game, a lot of people are projecting it to be close, but in the end, I don't see it being close. Yes, the Broncos defense is good, but they were good when they got blown out by Seattle a couple years ago. So, the Panthers are in a very similar situation, very high-octane offense, and I can see this not ending well for the Broncos. I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers win their first Super Bowl to a score of 31-7. Actually, stretch that. I want to go 34-7. Carolina over the Broncos. Cam Newton, Super Bowl MVP. Peyton Manning, he goes out a loser in the Super Bowl. And maybe he does come back next year. Who knows? But looking at it, that is my prediction for tonight. Carolina 34, Denver Broncos 7. The Panthers will be your Super Bowl 50 champions. And this has been the Front 7 podcast right here on YouTube. I've been your host, Money Mike. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy tonight's game. Enjoy the commercials. Enjoy everything that there is about the Super Bowl because, this is going to be the last game of football we have, or last meaningful game of football we have until the regular season kicks off, and whether that's in Carolina or whether it's in Denver on a Thursday night in September, we will find out. But it is it. Enjoy tonight's game. The 2015 season concludes tonight, and we are 1 month away from free agency. I will be here throughout the offseason, throughout the draft, leading up to the draft, all the way up to the start of the 2016 season. So subscribe to my channel for much, much more NFL offseason news and more of the Everything Else podcast. Again, I've been your host, Money Mike. Enjoy the game, everybody.